There are moments when life feels like it's spinning out of control. You wake up already tense, unsure what will hit you next, a harsh word, a sudden loss, an unexpected challenge. The world pulls at you from every direction, demanding a reaction. And yet, deep down, you know that reacting blindly only makes things worse. Imagine, instead, having the unshakable calm to face anything. Anger that burns out before it harms you, anxiety that fades into focus, self-doubt replaced by clarity. This is not a fantasy. It's a skill, and the Stoics mastered it over 2,000 years ago. Today, we'll uncover their timeless secrets, not as dusty philosophy, but as living wisdom, powerful enough to change the way you live, starting now.
1. The Shipwreck that started Stoicism. Zeno's journey to inner strength. Imagine this. You're walking through the bustling streets of Athens, roughly 2,400 years ago. Traders call out their prices. The scent of olives and sea salt hangs in the air, and philosophers stroll past in animated debate. Among the crowd, you might encounter a tall, weathered man, Zeno of Citium. Once a prosperous Phoenician merchant, Zeno's life changed in an instant when a violent shipwreck swallowed his cargo, his wealth, and nearly his future. He washed ashore in Athens with nothing but the clothes on his back and a restless mind seeking direction. One day, wandering through the city, he stepped into a small bookshop. His hands found a copy of Xenophon's Memorabilia, a collection of stories about the philosopher Socrates. As he read, something sparked within him, a pull stronger than any trade wind. He turned to the bookseller and asked, "Where can I find a man like this, one of these philosopher folk?" The bookseller, without missing a beat, pointed outside. "There's one right there," he said, nodding to a man walking past. Such was Athens in those days. Philosophers weren't hidden in ivory towers. They mingled among the people. The man was Crates, a well-known Cynic philosopher. Zeno approached him, eager for wisdom, and soon became his pupil. But his journey didn't stop there. He studied under several great thinkers of Athens, absorbing ideas from different schools of philosophy. Over time, Zeno began to shape his own vision. He believed philosophy shouldn't be confined to private halls like Plato's Academy or Aristotle's Lyceum. Instead, it should live among the people. So he gathered his students in the Stoa Poikile, the painted porch, a public space in the heart of the city. Here, anyone could listen, question, and learn how to live better lives. This is how Stoicism was born, its name forever tied to that humble porch.
2. Women of Stoicism, how they lived with courage and wisdom. In the ancient world, philosophy was often seen as a pursuit reserved for men, but Stoicism was different. It quietly but firmly opened its doors to women, offering them the same invitation to cultivate wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. In Rome, many women, especially matrons, gathered in private homes to host convivia, intimate meetings where friends discussed ideas, challenged each other's thinking, and explored how Stoic principles could be lived out in their daily lives. Some of these women didn't just talk about Stoicism, they lived it, often in circumstances far harsher than most philosophers ever faced. One of the most striking examples was Portia Catonis, daughter of Cato the Younger, the fierce political rival of Julius Caesar, and wife of Marcus Junius Brutus, one of Caesar's assassins. Portia's life was steeped in political tension, betrayal, and danger. Yet she faced it all with the same steadiness her father had been known for. Historical accounts describe her deliberate self-discipline, her ability to remain composed under immense pressure, and her unwavering commitment to the values she believed in. In many ways, she embodied the Stoic conviction that while we cannot control the storms that rage around us, we can control the way we meet them. Musonius Rufus, one of the great Stoic teachers and a mentor to Epictetus, went even further in affirming women's place in philosophy. He argued that the pursuit of virtue was not bound by gender. Women, he said, have received from the gods the same reasoning power as men. Therefore, they should strive for the same excellence of character. To him, the idea that women should be excluded from the study of philosophy was as absurd as denying them the right to be just or courageous. For Musonius, philosophy was not an abstract luxury, it was a life of way, and every human being deserved the chance to live it fully. Over time, Stoicism, like all ancient schools, faded with the rise of Christianity, but its ideas never truly disappeared. They quietly shaped the moral backbone of early Christian thought through figures like Paul of Tarsus, and centuries later, the works of Thomas Aquinas. Even René Descartes, a father of modern philosophy, carried echoes of Stoic reasoning in his method and ethics. And the idea that virtue belongs to all, man or woman, remains one of Stoicism's most powerful and forward-looking legacies.
3. The Four Stoic Virtues that will transform how you live. Unusually for ancient philosophy, Stoicism also welcomed women into its circle, not just as listeners, but as practitioners. In Rome, many matrons hosted convivia, intimate gatherings with friends to discuss Stoic principles and how they applied to daily life. These weren't idle social events, they were spaces for exchanging wisdom, reflecting on virtue, and sharpening moral character. Among these women, none was more renowned than Portia Catonis, the daughter of Cato the Younger, staunch opponent of Julius Caesar, and the wife of Brutus, one of Caesar's assassins. Portia lived in the crosswinds of political danger and personal loss. Through it all, she carried herself with a distinctly Stoic resolve, facing her trials with composure and courage. Like all ancient philosophical schools, Stoicism eventually waned with the rise of Christianity, yet its influence refused to disappear. Stoic ideas filtered into Christian thought from the very beginning, shaping the writings of Paul of Tarsus, and centuries later, the theology of Thomas Aquinas. Even in the modern era, the echoes of Stoicism can be heard in the philosophy of René Descartes, the rationalist who sought clarity of thought and mastery over one's own mind. At the heart of all these stories, ancient and modern, lies the Stoic commitment to four cardinal virtues: practical wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These aren't abstract ideals reserved for sages. They are guiding principles for living well in any time and place. Practical wisdom is the compass, helping us discern what is truly good, what is harmful, and what is neither. Courage is the engine, allowing us to act according to what is right, even in the face of fear. Justice extends our moral concern beyond ourselves, ensuring fairness and duty to others. And temperance is the anchor, helping us resist excess and remain balanced in the tides of desire and aversion. For the Stoics, these virtues are not optional add-ons to life. They are the very structure of a life worth living. Whether you were a Roman senator, a soldier in the field, a merchant in the marketplace, or a matron in her home,
Living by these virtues was the surest way to preserve dignity and purpose no matter what storms the world sent your way.
4. Living according to nature, the Stoic way to peace and purpose. Baruch Spinoza, one of the most important modern philosophers, drew heavily from Stoic thought when crafting his ethics. But enough about the historical lineage. What does Stoicism actually teach? At its core lies a deceptively simple principle: live according to nature. Now, this doesn't mean abandoning civilization to run into the forest and embrace trees. The Stoics meant something far more profound: live in harmony with human nature. Human nature, they believed, rests on two defining traits. First, we are social creatures. We can survive alone if we must, but we only truly flourish within a community, building healthy, supportive relationships. Second, we possess the capacity for reason. That doesn't mean we use it flawlessly, far from it, but we are capable of rational thought. And that capacity gives us the ability to shape not only our own lives, but to contribute to the well-being of others. For the Stoics, the best human life is one where we apply our reason to improve social living and enrich the lives of those around us. 5. The two pillars of Stoicism that build unshakable resilience. From this foundation grow two central pillars of Stoicism. The first is the four cardinal virtues: practical wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Practical wisdom is the clear understanding of what is truly good for you and what is harmful. Courage is more than physical bravery. It's the moral resolve to do what is right despite fear. Justice guides how we treat others with fairness and respect. Temperance ensures balance, helping us avoid both excess and deficiency in all areas of life. The second pillar is the dichotomy of control, the distinction between what lies within our power and what does not. The Stoics urge us to focus only on what is truly ours to govern and to release our grip on everything else. Epictetus, one of the most celebrated Stoic philosophers, made this principle central to his teaching. Born a slave in Hierapolis, modern-day Pamukkale, Turkey, his very name, Epictetus, means acquired. Brought to Rome and eventually freed, he at first tried spreading Stoicism by speaking on the streets, only to be met with a punch to the face. Realizing he could change his method, if not the public's temperament, he opened his own school, which thrived until Emperor Domitian expelled all Stoics from Rome. Epictetus then moved to Nicopolis in Greece, where his school became one of antiquity's most influential. His style was direct and laced with dry humor. In the Discourses, he once wrote, "I'll have to die. If it is now, well, then I die now. If later, then now I will take my lunch, since the hour for lunch has arrived. And dying I will tend to later. Death is beyond our control, so why worry about that when lunch is at hand? Instead, focus on what is within your power." Epictetus explained the dichotomy of control like this: some things are within our power: opinion, motivation, desire, and whatever is of our own doing. Others are not: our body, property, reputation, and whatever is not of our own doing. You may care for your body, but a sudden illness or accident can undo your efforts. You may work to build a good reputation, yet others' perceptions remain outside your command. The Stoic solution is to invest your energy in your intentions and efforts, not in the outcome. The Stoics illustrated this with the metaphor of an archer. You control your training, your equipment, your aim, and the moment you release the arrow. After that, the result is out of your hands. Wind might shift or the target may move. Cicero put it well: hitting the mark is to be chosen, but not desired. Your worth lies in how you aim, not in whether the arrow strikes. In modern life, this perspective changes everything.
If you seek a promotion, the outcome depends on factors beyond your control: your boss's mood, internal politics, or a more qualified candidate. What is under your control is your preparation, your work ethic, and your professionalism. Similarly, in relationships, you cannot force someone to love you, but you can choose to be caring, trustworthy, and supportive. Epictetus taught that if you truly grasp what belongs to you and what does not, you will never be subject to force or hindrance. You will never blame or criticize anyone, and everything you do will be done willingly. A world where everyone lived this way would be a far more peaceful one, free from the constant blame and resentment that plague human interaction.
6. Role ethics. Epictetus's guide to balancing life with integrity. Epictetus's approach, as my colleague Brian Johnson at Fordham University explains, can be understood as a kind of role ethics. In other words, life is not just a single identity we carry, it's a stage on which we play many roles, and the key to a fulfilling life is learning how to balance them with wisdom and integrity. The Stoics identified 3 main kinds of roles we all hold. The first is our most basic role, simply being human. We are all members of the human community, the human polis. It was the Stoics who first coined the term cosmopolitan, meaning citizen of the world. This perspective sees us not as isolated individuals, but as interconnected beings sharing the same home, the same earth, and the same responsibility to care for it. The second kind of role is one assigned to us by circumstances. We don't choose our parents or the family we are born into. We don't choose to be someone's son, daughter, brother, or sister. It's simply given to us by fate. The third kind of role is one we consciously choose: a career, the decision to become a mother or father, to serve in a particular profession, or to pursue a specific passion. These roles are the result of our deliberate choices and carry responsibilities we have accepted willingly. These 3 sets of roles relate to one another in a specific way. Our role as a human being comes first. Every decision, no matter how personal, should pass the question, is this good for humanity? If the answer is no, then it is not worth pursuing. It's a simple but powerful filter, one that will actually save you energy because it eliminates pursuits that harm the greater whole. Of course, life demands trade-offs. We may want to be the best parent, the most loyal friend, the most dependable colleague, but circumstances will force us to make choices and allocate our time and energy. Stoicism helps us navigate those trade-offs by reminding us to act with integrity. Epictetus puts it bluntly: you are the one who knows yourself, how much you are worth to yourself, and for how much you are selling yourself. Consider at what price you sell your integrity. Just don't sell it cheap. The point is not to chase perfection, but to strive to be better than you were yesterday. This idea becomes clear in one of Epictetus's examples: a father whose daughter is gravely ill. Overcome with emotion, he leaves the house, unable to bear the sight, leaving the burden to his wife. The father defends himself by saying his reaction was natural. Epictetus agrees. Yes, feeling distress is natural. Emotions arise beyond our control. But the choice to leave, abandoning his duty, is different. His role as a father requires courage to face emotional pain and justice to fulfill his responsibility toward his child. Balancing roles also calls upon the other 2 cardinal virtues: practical wisdom, knowing what is truly good or bad for you, and temperance, the ability to allocate the right amount of energy to each duty without excess or neglect. Epictetus encourages us to reflect on each role we play. If you're young, what does it mean to be young? If you're old, what does age imply? If you're a father, what does that role demand? Roles give us a framework, but they are not scripts set in stone. We can choose how to play them, guided by our conscience rather than blindly following society's expectations. Still, roles come with non-negotiable responsibilities. So how do we learn to play our roles well? One of the most effective Stoic methods is to model ourselves after role models, living, historical, or even fictional. The ancients admired figures like Cato the Younger,
whose integrity was so respected that people in Rome would excuse their own failings by saying, "Not everyone can be a Cato." They revered Odysseus, who twice rejected immortality and endured 10 years of hardship just to return home to his family. In modern times, we have figures like Nelson Mandela, who endured over 20 years in prison under apartheid. His turning point came when a fellow prisoner smuggled in a copy of Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. From it, Mandela learned that progress would not come from hatred, but from extending a hand, even to his oppressors. This change of heart shaped not only his life, but the future of South Africa. There's also Susan Fowler, who risked her career to expose widespread sexual harassment at Uber. Her courage was grounded in Stoic principles, standing for what is right, regardless of personal cost. Even in fiction, role models abound. Spider-Man's famous line, "With great power comes great responsibility," is a Stoic truth. We may not have superhuman abilities, but we all have the power of choice, and with that comes the duty to choose well. In ancient theater, actors would switch masks to signify a change in role. Similarly, in life, we change masks constantly: parent, friend, citizen, professional. The Stoic goal is to play each role as skillfully as possible, guided by virtue, so that the sum of our roles adds up to a life well lived.
Life, through the lens of Stoicism, is not a straight road, but a series of crossroads, each demanding that we choose with integrity, courage, and wisdom. Every role we play leaves an imprint, not just on ourselves, but on those around us. When we understand this, we stop drifting and start living with intention. We realize that we're not here to merely exist, but to contribute to ourselves, to others, and to the greater whole of humanity. The truth is, you already have the power to live this way. You don't need to wait for the right moment or for everything to fall into place. The roles you play today are your training ground for becoming the person you want to be tomorrow. The choice is yours in every action, in every word, in every silence. So, as you step back into your own life after this story, ask yourself, how will I play my roles today? Will I let circumstance dictate my script, or will I live by the virtues that stand the test of time? If these ideas have sparked something in you, let's keep walking this path together. Like, share, and subscribe so we can continue exploring how ancient wisdom can help us live better, one day at a time. And before you leave, comment below. What role will you play differently starting today?